Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Mango Oblivion Plays, and today we're going to be going over some of the decks I used to complete the Genetic Apex Battle event, and just some general tips for competitive battling on Pokemon TCG Pocket. So we'll head over into our decks section of the game here, and there's a couple different decks I utilized throughout the tournament, so I'd kind of rotate through as one became less effective, or if I was just getting a lot of decks that were not going well with that deck, I'd switch. So one that I used is this one down here, and this one utilizes the promo Mankey from the Lapras event. This deck works really well because Mankey has Reckless Charge, and that means that when it attacks, it's going to do damage to itself, which pairs really well with the Primape card that does more damage once it has been damaged itself. So this deck is really good. It has only one EX, so you're going to want to utilize our strong attackers in here, mostly Primape, but then also Dugtrio as well, as you can make it so that your opponent can't hurt you if Dugtrio attacks, and then you flip right. As a general rule of thumb, remember you want to have your opponent take 4 points worth of prizes, so that could be either 2 EXs or 2 1-point cards and then a 2-point card. So generally in a deck, you're going to want to do that. Also, if you've watched any of my videos, you do know having at least one fossil card in your deck is very useful because you can use that as a free pivot if you've been Sabrina'd out of your card. So having a Dome Fossil with you is very helpful in any deck you're going to use competitively. So that was the first deck. This deck I also used a lot at the beginning, and this utilized the Lapras EX card from the thing because I don't have an Articuno EX yet. This deck is very good, and if you do have Articuno EXs, you can honestly just switch these Laprases out for Articunos, and then that deck would probably be much improved. The idea, of course, for this deck is to use Misty to power up your powerful water Pokemon like Lapras and Starmie. Lapras has a healing ability in Bubble Drain. Starmie is just a really strong card with only 2 energies to attack. And then we include Farfetch'd in this deck because it only requires 1 energy to attack and it does 40 damage. That's a very solid opener. So if you don't get a water Pokemon right away, using Farfetch is a great way to open up your game. So that was another one of the decks I used. I also used this one here to counter those Mewtwo decks that are very popular. Dark types do extra damage to Mewtwo, and unfortunately there is no EX for the Dark type. So potentially, if you wanted to, you could potentially take out one of these Ekans and Arboks and replace that with Jigglypuff and Wigglytuff EX. It's a solid addition that you can use to have an EX in your deck if you really need to have that to feel confident in your battling. But really, Weezing sets up Poison, which does a lot of damage for you, and then Arbok is a very strong attacker in this deck. Once again, lots of Dome Fossils, lots of ways to heal, a solid choice there. Finally, the last deck I used a lot, there's 2. I have my own Mewtwo deck. I do not have 2 Gardevoirs, so I do have a Gengar EX in here. But this is, of course, about you want to get Gardevoir set up so you can power up your Mewtwo's faster. That's a pretty strong competitive deck. And also, this one is a slightly different fighting type deck. This one utilizes 2 Dugtrios, and then regular Marowak and Marowak EX. Regular Marowak's a pretty strong card. And then we also have Wigglytuff in here for bad matchups. So if you get like a Venusaur deck or an Exeggutor deck, you can use Wigglytuff to kind of stave that off. And the power to put something to sleep is actually really strong in this game as long as you get your coin flips right. So Wigglytuff EX is a pretty solid card you can utilize. So those are the decks that I used mostly to get my 45 wins and get my medal. There's lots of different ways to play in this competitive scene. But mostly, right, your big tips are you want to make sure your opponent takes 4 prizes, and then you also want to make sure that you have something like a fossil card in your deck that you can use as a pivot. If someone tries to switch you out to stall, that's going to make it a lot easier for you to press your advantage. I hope this video is helpful to you. and I'll be back as we get more information about Pokemon TCG Pocket with more deck ideas or deck concepts that you can utilize if you're still struggling to get those wins. Till then, see you later. This has been Mango Oblivion Plays.